See, once we get some people in here. I actually forgot to bring my other phone out here to keep up with the chat. So maybe if my wife is watching, she'll bring me the blue phone off the nightstand before she heads out walking. Got one person in here. What's up, Wacky Wayland? I forgot my blue phone. It's sitting in the house, so I was going to wait just a second, let somebody at least get in here. I'm going to run in there and grab it real fast so I can keep up with the chat. What's up, Project Pine Hills? No, there's my wife. She said she's going to bring it to me. I forgot to bring my little chat phone out here, so I'm going to have to read it before they disappear. Somebody just said he made it. I don't know who it was. It just blurred off. So in case y'all didn't know, if you've never done a live stream, like y'all's chats come up on this phone, which I'm a little bit away from it, but they disappear within like 10 seconds or something. So if I can't read it, it goes away. But my wife, before she leaves, is graciously enough going to bring me my chat phone. Thanks. So let me get this turned on. I knew I was forgetting something. I was like, I'm going to get my microphone. I got everything set up. Wacky Wayland said, how nice. I don't think she heard me. So I had one question from a subscriber about, he was actually asking about the DCF 500. So I'm assuming DCF. I think that's DeWalt. That's most of their numbers. I think that sounds about right. I'm not a big DeWalt tool guy anymore, so I'm not real sure on that. But he was asking about, could you maybe use the Ratchet as a right angle drill, right angle impact type tool, right angle, in order to put in fasteners and things like that. And I responded back to him and told him I didn't have a DeWalt, version. I don't know that, but I do have the M12 high speed 3/8 ratchet. And I told him, I said, I'm pretty sure I've got all the parts to do like what you're saying. So if you do have a adapter, so this is a 3/8 to 1/4 inch adapter from Milwaukee. So you just, take it 3/8 on this side, 1/4 inch hex on that side, put that on your ratchet. Now, the one thing about this particular one, there might be another version where it wouldn't matter, but if I just take like a 1-inch bit and put it in here, I'm going to end up probably making that really hard to get that bit out, and I'm also probably not going to get very much grip on that fastener. So you'd have to use a bit that's bigger than 1 inch, and I didn't spend time to look around for this purpose only. It's not really matter. I'm just going to put a bit holder and put a T25 screw in it. So this isn't your best case scenario with this for a right angle, but this is also bigger just altogether with this adapter. I'm sure there's probably other adapters out there that you could get. I've also got the M12. I bought the right angle impact. I don't have the right angle drill. I bought this particularly because it's so small and with a 1-inch bit. Like, you can take a 1-inch bit in this one, and if you get it set in there, you can see it locks into place, and enough head is sticking out of the bit that you can still get it on the fastener, get it flush with the wood. That's about as tight a spot as you can get. And I found that the right angle drill, I don't own it, but I've used it before from M12. Of course, these are all older tools, or the old brush versions. They didn't work out all that well. The drill didn't work out all that well. It wasn't very powerful. That is slow, but it will at least put stuff in. Let me go find the chat real fast. Hopefully it pops up here pretty quick. Sometimes it's hard to get to. There we go, watch live. So let me get caught up. So I'm assuming everybody can hear me all right. I do got the chat up now. Y'all let me know. So that was Vegan's Cookie Good that said, hey, he made it. I missed that one. It disappeared on me before I got to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this right here. I got some 2x4s. Let's see if I can get you slanted down maybe to where I can still see. I've got a T25 bit in this ratchet, and I've not even tried this yet. So this is on the fly. I don't have any idea if this will work. 2.5 inch Torx, like outdoor decking type screw. So again, here's the M12 right angle tool. This one's the part number on this, 2467-20. I've used this before. I know this is going to work. Again, super slow, but in a pinch, if you need to get to something, it works, and it's got enough power. I could sink that screw all the way through this if I wanted to. The right angle drill, not so much on that. So here is the M12 ratchet. All I have is the high speed version. I don't know if that will come into play or not, but this one's part number's 2567-20. Same thing, T25 screw. Burying it down in there all day long, so almost probably just as loud, if not maybe slightly less loud than the impact. So in the case of, you know, in my opinion, if you were going to, if I would probably use like a 2-inch bit or something so you could get rid of that extra length. And then maybe there's also a different adapter besides Milwaukee's that's maybe a little bit more compact, maybe even one that doesn't have the locking collar or something like that. But I mean, it does work, it looks like, so you could save yourself some money. 2 tools in one. If in a pinch, if you didn't do it like all the time, all day long, you know, if it's not something you very rarely use, you could probably get away with, you know, using a ratchet for a right angle driver. And again, pretty much same size, not a lot of difference between the two. What's up, Contreras 21? I think that's the only question that I remember seeing that I thought I'm gonna have to answer that in the video. So I don't know if there was any other ones out there. If there is, you can either send them to me now, or, you know, vice versa, or send them to me in a comment somehow or other if it's something I can't put together right now so I remember. That's kind of what I'll do on these at the beginning. If I find it, if I have comments where I don't really, there's not a good way for me to answer it with words and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And of course they won't let you use pictures. So this is kind of the best way for me to hit up some of those things. But that was pretty much it. Other than that, I was just going to hang out with you guys and chat for a little while. If y'all got any questions. I don't know what y'all been into this week. Any tools that you bought. One tool that I bought, but I still haven't decided if I'm going to keep it or not. Because I bought it specifically for the batteries. This is the first time I've ever done or might do a hack at Home Depot where I'm actually keeping the batteries. Every time I've ever done it, it's been getting the tool and taking back the batteries. But right now, Home Depot's got the deal where you buy the 2 5-amp-hour M12 for $199 and you get a free tool. And the most expensive tool that you could get with that was the M12 transfer pump. I think it's $199 too. So basically I can either return this for $99.50 or I could return this for $99.50. But I bought it to get these. I felt like 2 5-amp-hour batteries and then a charger, which I don't need, but 2 5-amp-hour batteries for 99 bucks wasn't a bad deal. And then I've got this on Facebook right now, but if I don't sell it, I always, anytime I hack something at Home Depot, so if I can return this for $100, I put it on Facebook first for $100. And then that way somebody, if they're wanting just the transfer pump and they don't want to go through the route of getting batteries, or maybe their store doesn't, you know, our store never carries very many of these. It just gives somebody who's wanting this tool an option to buy it instead of me returning it to Home Depot and getting that same amount of money. So I normally do that for like a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and then if nobody buys it, I take it back to Home Depot. So I don't feel like I've really got a need for this. I don't know if any of you've got it, if you use it very often. I mean, if you're a plumber or if you do stuff with sump pumps or wells, or maybe you do footings and stuff and you want to go around and pump water out of places, you know, you would use this. I don't see a place for me. I can't think of a time very often, at least, where something like this would be a tool that I'm going to need that's worth $200 for me, or really $100 if I'm going to return it. But again, that's the first time ever I probably decided I'm going to do the hack at Home Depot and keep the batteries and then return the tool. I don't think I've ever done that before. Let's see, Steve D, that's the exact deal I was thinking about. Yeah, they've got some other stuff that you can get for free, but I knew it, like I've already got most of the tools that were the free options. That was one of the few I didn't have. And anytime I'm not going to keep whatever it is, I just get the most expensive one because that's going to get you the most return, either whether you sell it and make, because you could probably even put it on Facebook and sell it for 120 if somebody was just wanting it and didn't want batteries and they don't know that they can hack the batteries at Home Depot, those kinds of things. You can maybe get some of that money back. And then you end up getting the batteries for $70 instead of $90. Let's see. Elliot Parrish ordered a set of Knipex cutters this week. Got a set with the new handle. Don't think it's any different than the others, but it feels good in the hand. So it's got the little black or gray up there by the thumb, the newer handle, I guess. I saw that Millis Construction had a box. I don't know if they sent it to him or what. I hadn't watched the video. All I've seen is the thumbnail. But I saw where he got a set of those in. I've never done the hack either. My luck, they won't separate the item on the receipt. Yeah, if you go in the store, they will. Now, if you buy it online, sometimes it's iffy whether or not you can do it that way. Used to, whenever you bought it online, you could just... I've never done it this way, but I just know this is how people did it, was you could go online and say, ship this to your house, and then ship the tool to the store. And then whenever you went in to cancel your order, it would ask you, like it would let you break down, I want to cancel whichever one you didn't want to keep, and it would just refund you that money. I personally never done that, but I've heard people say that you could do it that way. And I don't know if you still can or not. My receipt was split up, whenever I went in the store and bought it. It says, you can return this item for $99.50 or this item for $99.50. And normally I don't even use my receipt. I just go in there and use my card whenever I go to return one. And I just say, I'm going to return this. It's on my card. Because every now and then you'll get like a customer service person that sees that and it blows their mind or something, like they're not allowed to do it or whatever. And then you have to go through a whole thing with a manager or something. I've never understood why they've got a problem with it. Some of them act like they do. It's like if you've got a problem with it, then go into your computer system and make it to where people can't do it. It'd be very simple to make it to where you couldn't do it, but I don't know. Let's see, Mac boarding a flight for Germany for a work trade show. Thanks for the channel. Appreciate that, Mac. Be safe. Wacky Wayland said normally you have to order it online and return it to the store. I've only done mine in store, but every time. I don't think I've ever done the online, but I know most people did it online because I think they acted like it was easier because you could do that cancel half of it type thing. I've walked into the store before. I would have bought these two things, and literally if I was keeping this one, I'd went and put this in my truck. I took that one straight around to customer service with my receipt and said, I want to return this. And I mean, I've really never had a problem with it. Like I said, every now and then they look at the receipt and act like you have to return both, but that's not what the receipt says. But it's whatever. But like I said, most of the time you can put it on Facebook and sell it for whatever the hack amount is anyways. It's because it's pretty cheap. I mean, if that thing normal price is $200 and you've got it on sale on Facebook for $100, somebody's going to probably buy it. And that's how much you're going to return it for anyways. If the item says buy one, get a free good, then you can hack. If it's selling you two items at a lower rate, then you can't hack it. Yeah, that's what I always tell my buddy is basically if the items are already put together, like if you go online and it's these two things are in a picture together and it's got, used to it always had a black plus sign. I don't know if they still have that. I haven't paid any attention. But if whenever you put it into your card, it was just one picture type thing, you couldn't hack it. It has to be that whenever you go online, you get an item. So if I put this in my cart, but then it says add, it's got a box and says click here to choose a free item. Whenever it does that, it always typically will split your receipt up. That's how I bought all my first M12. I haven't hacked a lot of stuff lately because typically, just like with this one right here, every tool that's available with this one, I either already own it or whatever. So there hadn't really been anything that's been hackable for me for a long time. But back whenever I first got all my M12 tools, I mean, I was getting all of them for dirt cheap. It felt like so. That's what really made me end up buying. That's why I've got so many is because it was such a good deal. Anyone have the Klein circuit breaker finder? If so, does it work well? I've got the ET310. I don't have that advanced circuit tracer finder, but that ET310 is the best one of those kind of breaker finders I've ever used. It's the best one by far. Every now and then I'll get a false reading, but it's typically because there's like a shared neutral or something like that within a couple breakers or something like that, I feel like. But I'd say 9 out of 10 times it's dead on, like exactly what breaker. You have to follow the steps though. A lot of times people will just take that breaker finder and go to the panel, and if it's 3 breakers down and dings, they'll be like, "Oh, that's it." You got to go through like the whole entire panel and then go back, and then because it's basically going to pick up. It kind of gets an idea of what you're reading over that whole panel, and then the second time you go around is when it kind of can really pinpoint, yeah, this was the one with the signal. Most people that I have found that have had a problem with it, it's because they're not doing that. They're just going down. You hit that first beep, and then you think, well, that's got to be it, but it's not. That's kind of your breaker finder calibrating itself to the signal that's being sent. Wings and Pizza, Funk FPV just did a video about it. Worked well for him. Eddie said the ET310 works well for him too. If you get a veteran discount, it won't work the hack. At that point, it might be better to wait for a daily deal with the 2 items together. They always seem to have the buy one, get ones on daily deal recently. So, yeah, typically, like most of the time, your weekly thing that that Home Depot does on the daily deals, it's usually like, so right now you can get both these for $199, and every now and then you'll see that they'll put this kit together on sale once a week for like $189 or something along those lines. It's $10 cheaper, but if you buy it that way, again, that's the items already together. You're not going to be able to hack them, so it's only a better deal if you actually want both of them, those kinds of things. But like I said, even if you don't return it to Home Depot, you can sell these tools for, especially like these batteries. If I really wanted to, I'm sure I could put this kit on there for $99 on Facebook, and surely I'd have somebody buy it. But who knows with Facebook these days? I've been going rounds and rounds with people selling stuff on Facebook for the last 6 months. It seems like it's gotten way worse than what it ever has been. It wasn't great to start with. Wacky Wayland, apparently the wand is supposed to shut off when you flip the right breaker. Uh, I'll have to check that. I didn't read that far into the instructions, I guess. It might. I haven't paid any attention to that. I guess if it had if it could tell there was like a complete signal loss, maybe it does do that. I want to say though that mine's beeped. Mine's continued beeping, but I'm just going by remembrance, and I actually just used it Friday morning. I want to say I had to press mine to turn it off, even though I had the right breaker. But that would be handy if it did that, because there's times the one that I was at Friday was one of the few cases where I was having a hard time getting the right breaker, but it was like a house in the 70s. It probably had shared neutrals like crazy, like I'm sure it did. So, you got different things going on, so it's probably harder for that signal to get back to the panel. It's been my experience that you can only hack so many times a month. Anyone else have that happen? Yeah, let us know that below. I don't do it crazy often. Like, it's not a regular occurrence for me, so I wouldn't know. It could be the case. I don't know how they keep up with it. Like I said, whenever I go in, I don't take my receipt in with me, which I never take my receipts in for returns anyways. I just I got the Home Depot Pro card, and I just give them that. And then it's really, to me, that takes the idea of a customer service person looking at your receipt and seeing the discounts and all that, and the free item and all that kind of stuff, to even ask a question, because all they're going to see is, yeah, you bought this for $99.50 and you bought that for $99.50, so your total is $199. So I think that if you do that, you're probably less likely to have a little bit of a headache at the store. But again, I've not had a problem at my store. I've just heard other people have. Just looked at an older store-bought receipt. I have a combo deal. Receipt says max return value, for example, for each item. I think I'm going to do that for the batteries now. So yeah, that's how if it ever says that on your receipt, you should be able, that's how you hack it. And again, every store might be different. I don't have any problem at mine. I've heard some people have problems at theirs. I don't really see how they can not give you a refund because the receipt sits there and says you can get a refund for X amount of dollars if you return that, and it doesn't say you have to return all things on there or anything like that. But again, it just depends on maybe if you've got a manager who just likes to argue and whatever. I don't know. Elliot Parrish said he ordered the M12 detail sander and plans to return the battery. That's how I've always. This is the first time ever that I'm keeping the batteries, and it's only because I'm using these 5 amp hour batteries a lot more recently because I've got like my M12 planer, M12 circular saw. Used to the only tool that I normally use like a big battery on pretty often was my circular saw, Sawzall. Those two tools primarily. Everything else, the little batteries worked out fine for me because I prefer having the smaller batteries in my M12 tools. They seem, that's a big purpose of having the M12 in my opinion. And for impacts and things like that, they work out just fine. But now I've got, like I said, the M12 planer, circular saw. Let's see, what else do I got that's kind of eating? The oscillating tool eats through them pretty fast too, although the only battery tool that I've used these 5.0s on that it doesn't work real well on is the M12 reciprocal saw, or Sawzall, however you want to call it, Sawzall's reciprocal saw. What's the name of their actual one? Hacksaw or whatever that is that they call it. I don't remember what the specific name is. The 5.0s vibrate and fall out of it. That's the only tool I've got that it does it on. The oscillating tool has done it occasionally, but it's done it with the other batteries too. I think it's just an oscillating tool in general. Hacksaw Wacky Wayland said, yeah, that one, you try to run a 5.0 in it, they just fall right out of there. At least it falls out of mine. I pretty much have to use the 4s and the 6s and stuff in that. But it's an older tool. I mean, it's been out for quite some time. Let's see. Max said he's never had a hack rejected. Treat the people with respect and kindness. It's always worked for me. Yeah, I haven't either. I've just heard people have. So it always, and me hearing people have, it makes me leery whenever I go to do it because I'm like, oh, this is good. But worst case scenario, if they don't let me do it, I'll say, fine, you can take both of them back then or whatever. And like I said, I've always started, I used to hack it every time, just no questions asked. Like I said, I'd go to the store, walk straight around to customer service and return it. But I figure I'm going to get $100 for that transfer pump at Home Depot. And if somebody that is a plumber or something that wants to use that in my area all the time, and they've been wanting to get it, and I think regular price is $199, I guess, or I don't know if it's cheaper than that normally, but it's like I'll sell it to them for $100 instead of just turning around and giving it to Home Depot. So I'll usually wait a couple weeks. I'll put it on Facebook, and if I don't get any bites, then I'll return it. But I try to do it that way first, so I don't even have to worry about the whole hacking thing. That's what I've started doing in the last little bit to basically try to help out other people. If they want to get that for $100, I just as soon sell it to them than give it back to Home Depot. Gianna Fontana, I watched a video a while back about retailers in general flagging people if they make too many returns, so you may be correct. I know that they will let you only, at Home Depot, I don't know about anywhere else, like without a receipt, where they take your driver's license and give you a card and you get store credit, those kinds of things. I know that they'll only let you do that so many times, before a year or a month or whatever it is. 250s for 100 is amazing. Last year it was a 5 amp hour and a 2.5 amp hour. Yeah, I ended up getting the only 5 amp hour battery I've got. I got it in a kit with the 2.0 and a 5.0, but I think I got it on clearance. I want to say I made a short or a post or something about it. I think I got it for $50 or something like that. But the fives are really good. Like they're worth having for sure. If you run circular saw and stuff like that, it's night and day difference putting that 5.0 in that M12 circular saw and running, anything else. And I liked the 6.0s whenever I had them, but they are a battery I've had problems with, so I don't buy those anymore. I don't even know if you can buy them anymore, but I wouldn't buy any of those. M12 orbital sander better than the M18 one. I've only got the M12 detail sander. Did you get the new 3-inch orbital one? I think I saw 731 Woodworks had a video. I hadn't watched it either, but I saw the thumbnail. You probably said up there, I wasn't paying close enough attention. I like the detail sander. I've got the M18 orbital sander, the 5 inch or whatever it is. It works the same as any other battery powered 18 volt. I've had a rigid and a DeWalt battery powered sander. The M18 is pretty much the same to me. It's not much difference. Vegan's Cookie said the M12 5.0s. He likes them. Let's see. If you get rejected, then go to another store or back at a different time. You get 365 days to return at Home Depot if you use a HD credit card. If you can be disciplined about paying off your balance, that's a nice benefit. Yeah, I use the Home Depot Pro card and I get perks. Matter of fact, whenever I bought this, I think it put me over the spending like $30,000 at Home Depot or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but I probably get $700-800 worth in gift cards a year at Home Depot just for buying stuff in there and putting it on that card. Because with the Pro card, you get 4 times. So like normal, if you just go in there and even just use your regular Home Depot card, or you can even still have a Pro account and use your regular credit card if that's what you like to use and gain points and those kinds of things. But if you get the Pro card, you get 4 times the points. So for every dollar you spend, it's the same as you spent $4. So you get them really fast. Like I usually get a gift card a month most of the time, and it starts out at like a $25 gift card. I think last year I got up to where I was getting $100 gift cards at the end of the year, and it resets every single year. But it's definitely it's worth getting. If you go to Home Depot very often, you need to get yourself a Pro card and go ahead and use it. Unless you use a regular credit card to get airplane miles or whatever it is, and that's what you prefer to do, you can do that. But you definitely get, instead of just getting nothing, to get a bunch of gift cards for Home Depot. I mean, it's better than nothing for sure. The new 3-inch M12 orbital sander, my wife hit a pole with her minivan, so she couldn't complain when I bought it to fix her paint. Always a good reason to get a tool is whenever your wife messes up. And he says that it's awesome. So Mike says it's awesome. Whoever asked that a minute ago, Elliot, I think. Yeah, Elliot Parrish. So if you're talking about the 3-inch orbital one, he says it's pretty good. I can imagine that it is, because I like the M12, that M12 detail sander. I really like it. It works really well, very compact. And again, is it only a 3-inch sander? Is it smaller than the M18? Yes, but you're going to be able to get that in some spots that you can't get the M18. You're probably going to have a little bit more control because it's not so much surface that you're going over at one time. So I'm sure it's got its benefits, even though it's smaller. Sometimes that's better. Michael Scott just said that's not what she said. I just did a video today for a Diamondback pouch I picked up. I will probably put that out maybe tomorrow, I guess, since I did a guess the trade today. It's uploaded and everything, but I didn't want to put it out today since I just put out a video. And then next weekend on Saturday, I don't know that I'm going to do a guess the trade because one is I'm running low on guess the trade people. So if y'all haven't been in guess the trade and you want to be in guess the trade, email me some pictures. But also I'm doing a charity. I'm grilling for a charity. They're having like a auction and food type stuff that they're serving and all those things. And I volunteered to grill at that and it's going to definitely be going on at 1 o'clock and basically that whole entire day, at least until the afternoon. So I know I wouldn't be able to be a part of the live chat anyways. So it just depends on how everything works out this week. I may just skip this week, and for sure, grandbaby will be here this week no matter what, because they're going to induce if she doesn't come naturally. So I might end up with a really busy week anyway. So, but what I was going to say is next Saturday, probably, and I don't know when, I'm going to try to probably schedule it, and it all is weather depending and all those things. I think that's when me and my wife are going to come out here and put the comments up on the screen and talk about some of the comments that I've got over the course of, since I've been on YouTube. I think I had like 15 of them, maybe 14 comments. Some of them are very similar than the other. What we talked about before was it's kind of like the mean tweets that they used to do, where a celebrity reads the tweets that are about them type thing. And we're gonna read them, and I'll probably answer somewhat some of it, but I mostly wanted my wife to be able to answer it because that way it's not as if the answer's coming from me about a response to it. So I'm probably going to try to do that next Saturday. I got them put on the computer. I'm going to come out here and test them on the TV. We'll probably have to sit closer to the TV so I can put them up there, see how that looks. I was looking to see, I know Tools with Tactics uses StreamYard or something like that, and they're able to put stuff up on the screen whenever they do that. See, through this, I can't do anything like that. But I think you have to do that from a webcam or something like that, maybe from your computer. I don't really know. I was looking into it today, but I don't know that I'll end up figuring out how to do that by next weekend anyway. So again, I'm just going to try to do it the old-fashioned way and put it up on this TV screen, and we'll probably just sit closer to that, and maybe to where hopefully that way you guys can read those comments while we're reading them, so that you can see that it's not me just sitting here making up some kind of comment. But let's see. VCG says he likes my TV display in the background. Everyone send him some guess the trade picks, he said. Yeah, I'm running low. I've got one more of the reload if I want to do that. And then I've got two on the guess the trade that I can do, but I've had them for a long time, but they never sent me their YouTube handle. And one of them sent me pictures, and I replied back to him because it was at the very beginning. Like, people were always forgetting to do that. And I emailed him back, and he said he wasn't even on YouTube, so I don't know how he didn't have an account on YouTube or something, so he never sent me a handle. So I've got two of them that are pretty good loadouts. I mean, I'll show them, but we just won't be able to ever get an answer probably and know who's answering as far as whose trade it is. But that's why I've never put them out there, because there's no way for us to know who they are. Max closing the doors. Have a great week, everybody, and praying for a healthy birth to your grandbaby. Appreciate that, Mac. Again, be safe on your trip, buddy. He's getting on a plane. Guess the YouTube handle. Yeah, we could do that. Like, I'm assuming, see, most of the time the YouTube handle and the name are kind of close, but the handle is always like, sometimes people will send me their name and they think that that's it, but like it's always got a bunch of numbers. And that's like, even some people like TPG, the Practical Gadgeteer, like he shows up in the chat and everything else as the Practical Gadgeteer, but his handle, like if he comments, is like One's Bones or something like that. So YouTube goes back and forth on which one they use, and that makes it really hard for, like, because I'll get emails from some of you, and it should be obvious to me who you are, but maybe whenever I read your comment, it's like totally different. Like your comment name is different than your chat name, and I don't know why they do it all that way, but that's what they do. It gets confusing sometimes for sure. Almost as confusing as the veto bag names that we talked about. I was thinking there was something else I was going to bring up, but I know I was going to bring up the M12 Ratchet. Again, that was Peter C9166 that asked me that. He asked me that on I don't even remember what video it was. It might have been the Square video, because whatever video it was, he said it was really off topic, but he was just curious. So that might have been what video it was. I couldn't remember. And then I was going to bring up about guess the trade, and bring up about next Saturday, more than likely next Saturday, again, unless the weather's bad or whatever, I'm going to try to do that mean comments. Me and my wife would be doing a live for that. I thought about just making a video of that, so then that way I could post the comments up, but I think it'd be better to have y'all's reactions to them and stuff like that. I feel like it'd just be better to be live. I'm sure I might get more views if I made a video. I think the videos get better views than a live does. I don't know, maybe people don't go and watch lives as much as if they see a thumbnail or something for a video. I don't know if it makes a difference or not, but I just feel like it'd be better as we read those comments. You know, maybe some of you guys have seen those type of comments on somebody else's channel, or maybe you've got a channel yourself and you've got some of those kind of comments. You know, you can kind of just put your 2 cents in on it as well. There's vegan cookies good with the dinner plans. I think I got some leftover Wingstop in there, so probably that. Don't know for sure. I just went to a baby shower this afternoon for a friend, and so I just ate some stuff there. I don't know if I'll even eat dinner tonight. What have y'all been doing for work this week? So this week we started on that fourplex building that I've been talking about. It's a one building but 4 apartments that I'm kind of overseeing. I'm going to be doing some of the interior work, but I'm just overseeing the whole entire project as far as the construction of the building. They started digging footers, and they dug footers and poured them Thursday, it was Thursday. So it won't be long. We'll be getting they'll start laying the blocks so we can pour the slab. It's going to be a slab foundation. Then after that, we'll be rolling, getting some framing going and all that kind of stuff. But I just oversaw that a few days this week. Only really one service call, and it was changing out a receptacle. Took me 5 minutes. So, and then also I worked on a house installing 4 exterior doors, and one of them was like a front door that had side glasses and all that kind of stuff. And then the back side was a place where they had filled in a garage at some point with siding and all that. And but it was like the T11 type siding, and so I had to, and it had started to rot and all those kinds of things. So they had me tear all that off, redo it. It pretty much looks about the same way it was because they wanted the same exact stuff up there. They just wanted new stuff. I had to replace the bottom plate because it had rotted out, mostly ants, and then put in that door and a new window in that. Let's see, what else did I do this week? Met with recruiting office that I'm going to be working at. It's going to be some metal stud framing, drop ceiling, doors, stuff, drywall, stuff like that. I'm supposed to start on that this week. So that's kind of what I did all this week as far as my work. Wacky Wayland says pulling wire. Yeah. New tool and cookies review tomorrow. Vegan Cookies Good said. Looking forward to that. He tried out the Sour Patch Kid Oreos. My son bought a pack of them. I still hadn't tried them yet. I don't know if he's ate them all or not yet. But they were in there. Haven't tried those. He had a video for some dual strippers, or dual, it was a crimper and a cutter, and then also some Sour Patch Oreos. Have any of y'all tried the Sour Patch Oreos yet? Besides Vegan's Cookie Good. And Vegan said he did lots of driving this week. I've got a new tool, or it's going to be new to me. I'm not sure how new it is, but I've got a new tool from Klein coming in the mail. I've also got some Vera stuff coming in the mail. Appreciate that, Vegan. What else do I got? I had something else coming in the mail too besides those two. Klein, Vera, something else. I can't think of it. I'm sure I will think of it some point in time. Man, I had a couple companies contact me that I decided to get their stuff. I don't know that I'm going to get them or not, but one of them, they said that their engineers were working on developing the 2.0. It's a company that makes meters, and they had a specific one that had some features on it that I thought were interesting that I haven't really seen on very many other ones unless they're really high dollar. So I told them I'd be interested in looking at that one, but they said that their engineers are working on making that one better or something like that, but they'll send it to me as soon as they, get it straightened out or something like that. But asked me if I want any of their other ones, but none of their other ones really interest me. Like I said, I don't turn stuff that's not like a tool that I would normally buy, brand wise, quality wise, all those things. I typically won't get those even if I get offers for them like crazy, unless I feel like it's got something about it that there's not maybe an option for it in the stuff that I would normally buy, or because that price point compared to the brand that I normally buy is so much better. And if it's a tool that I'm not going to use all that often, then it interests me sometimes, but we'll see. Sounds fishy. Yeah, I think 9 times out of 10, the stuff that I get it's funny, and I don't get a lot of things. There's even been a few things that I've even wanted to get, but they always want my phone number, and I tell them I don't give out my phone number, and they always ask. They say, "Well, we don't really need it. We just need it for delivery in case the delivery driver needs to get a hold of you." And it's always coming through Amazon. Like, that's how they said it. I'm like, I get stuff from Amazon every day. I never have a problem with it getting to me. It's like, I'm not giving you my phone number because that's just like my email. They get my email, and then as soon as I ever respond back to one of them, I start getting emails like crazy. So I know they passed my email around, which, I mean, it's there for anybody to get anyways. It's on my channel page, but they still have to go they'd have to go to my channel page to find it. They're not getting it that way. They're getting it because one person says, "Hey, this guy answered me. If you want to send and ask him to try your product too." So I know they're going to do that with my phone number if I give them my phone number, and it's like I don't have time to be getting phone calls all day long from, all these yoga pants and potteries and stuff like. I mean, I get stuff, people asking me, "We just love your channel. We absolutely love everything about it and the stuff that you review, and we think you're the perfect fit for our channel. We've got these baby bottles that we'd like to send you and have you review." I'm just like, I don't think you've watched my channel. I can't imagine that you have. Let's see, Elliot Parrish. I want to hire Morgan's Maintenance to fix Florida's football program. I can't even watch it anymore. Good news is they are throwing around tens of millions for nothing. I saw they were playing today. I normally that's what I'd be doing right now is watching football. I started watching the Alabama and was it Wisconsin that they were playing? I think it was. I think that's who they was playing earlier, or was it somebody else? Whoever it was, I was watching them before I left to go to that baby shower, and it was actually fairly close, but that one ended up being a blowout too. The thing that's killed me about college sports altogether, that used to I used to prefer college sports over professional sports. Like I'd rather watch college football than the NFL. Definitely rather watch college basketball than the NBA. Pretty much ever since like the Jordan era and all that stuff, I've just not cared about the NBA that much. But now it's so hard to watch college sports without having like some crazy direct TV or cable package or some specialized, you got to pay a ton of money a month. And I don't have any of that. And I'm not going to pay for all that stuff because it's just not worth it to me. But it's getting to be that way. Even now, the NFL's doing stuff where they only stream on certain channels. It's going that way too. It's just getting harder and harder to watch sports unless you want to fork over a whole lot of money, a month to pay for some kind of plan or whatever it is. All those subscriptions and stuff get pretty expensive. Wear some yoga pants for your next review. I've thought about doing that for thumbnails before, just as a joke, because you see all these YouTube creators where they've got and I don't remember what the guy's name is. It's Billy something or other. I don't know. He's like a redheaded guy, like he's always doing all that stuff. But like you'll see all these thumbnails where these girls are like at something and doing all this stuff in their yoga pants and all that stuff. But I mean, you'll look at their views and it's crazy, like how many they get. So I have actually talked about doing that a few times. I would never do it because I'm not that kind of person that would actually follow through with that probably. But I just thought it's funny. But I wish I could think of what that guy's name was. It's Billy something. I'm trying to think of what like type of videos he does, but he's always like doing funny videos. YouTube does that too. Save $165 when you buy from us. Yeah, everything's eventually going to go to, you know, because now it's not just like used to. All the streaming stuff was just outside of the networks, like it was Netflix and all those things. But now ABC has their streaming service, NBC, all those they have it. So if they get the contract from the NFL or whatever, they want to push you towards buying their streaming service. So they're going to put stuff to where you have to get their streaming service if they've got the rights to that stuff. And see, back before it was the networks had that streaming stuff, you didn't really ever have as much of a problem. But now it's like used to, people would get rid of the cable or the direct TV and stuff to save some money. And then maybe you might have $10 in Netflix a month. And then you have your free channels through the antenna and all that stuff for your networks. But now it's getting to be to where you spend so many $10 to $15 subscriptions, you're back up. By the time you've got 6 or 7 of them, you might as well have had cable again. That's kind of what you're paying for. You're just paying for individual channels. What's up, TPG? I was honestly, to be honest with you, I was pretty surprised that that worked like it did. I fully didn't expect it to because torque on this thing, but I guess I'm always thinking of it because in my mind, when he asked that question about using a ratchet for a right angle, I was thinking, a lot of times this isn't really to get stuff loose because you really got to get it loose. And then this is just getting the speed on and off. but that's a bigger fastener, and it's something that's already been torqued down pretty good. So putting in a screw into wood and stuff like that, I guess I just didn't think about it, but I mean, it works fairly well. I was pretty surprised by that. Um, I don't know if anybody's got the DeWalt version. If you want to try it out at some point in time, and let us know that in the comments of this video so that Peter would know on the DeWalt. I'm assuming he must run DeWalt stuff. That's why he specifically asked for that. Right angle attachment is the go-to. I always use my 9 times out of 10, if I'm in a right angle situation, I get out my M12 installation driver. I very rarely get this out, but every now and then, like, you can't get any closer than, that right there. I mean, that's as close as you could possibly get. I'm gonna get a tape measure. And with this, I'm not having to hold anything, because like if I've got to get back in somewhere and then try to hold a screw and hold that right angle attachment, the right angle deal, then sometimes that's a little bit hard to accomplish. But that tool you're talking about works 9 times out of 10. It's a really good option to have. But every now and then you just can't do it. And that's the thing I like about the M12 installation driver too, is you're no longer having to hold the right angle attachment and a screw. Because like right now with this, I can hold, the screw in place. I'm not having to hold the head of it or anything like that. But you're talking about with this one, by the time you put that on there, I'd say 2 3/4 inches from this to here, because this is kind of tapered in. It's less up here, but if you only had to stick just that head in, you're looking at 2 1/4. So 2 1/4 and then 2 1/2. That's probably about as close as you're going to get in a situation, again, where you got to get back in somewhere and you don't have the hand space to hold on to your right angle, hold on to a screw, and you just got to stick it in somewhere and, hit that button. That one worked. I would buy this all the time. I think this is a really good tool. And like I said, I could drive that screw all the way through that board with that, no problem at all. It's got the right angle drill. You can't do that, but that's why I bought that impact instead. And then again, if I needed to drill, I've said it a bunch of times. I don't know if I surely got a drill bit up here. I mean, they make so many drill bits these days that have that on it that you can pretty much go right angle drill with this too if you want to, get into some tight spot. So I would definitely buy this over the right angle drill. Again, it's an older tool. It's not fuel. It's brushed, all that kind of thing. Right angle yoga cookie. It's the right angle dog. I know there was some other tool that I've ordered and I can't think of what it is. That's pretty sad. Or maybe I'm thinking about something and then I didn't get it, or maybe I was thinking about the transfer pump. But like I said, I know I got something from Klein coming, got something from Vera coming, and I can swear there's something else, but I can't think of it. Check my orders. Yeah, I'm gonna open up my Amazon. I think it's on here. Let me see if it's on this phone. I don't know if I'm logged in or not. We'll see. I don't know if I got it on Amazon either though. Because the Weehaw pliers, I got those at Lowe's, but I didn't actually get them. My buddy was in a different Lowe's than where we live, and he called me and told me they had them and sent me a picture and asked me if I wanted them. So he's picked them up. So I don't have them here with me. That's one thing though, but I still don't think that was it. But I don't have anything in my Amazon, so it would have had to been something else. Is the installation driver just too weak to use the right angle attachment? Did I miss something? No, the installation driver is what I normally use as my right angle attachment. I'll go get it. It's right out here. I'll go get it. I'll show you. believe it may start sprinkling, which would be good. I hope it does rain, because I'm going to ask you guys what it sounds like while it's raining. But so basically, I think let's see, was it Wacky Waylon was saying his go-to? I think he was talking about this kind of a right angle adapter, I believe. Was you talking about like that kind right there, Wacky? So the thing about this is, as long as you've got plenty of room, you know, not a big deal. You can get in there. I mean, you can use that all day long, but it does take two hands, one to pull your trigger, one to hold that. So as long as you're not doing some kind of real crazy long screw or whatever, in which this one's actually magnetic and it actually helps hold the screw, so you can put a bit in this one and it will hold the screw in place. So this one's a little bit better than the yellow one. The yellow one's not magnetic, so like I can turn that, the screw stays. That makes this one a whole lot easier. I would definitely get this one over the yellow one. I'm not sure about, I've never owned any other brands. I don't know if the Milwaukee's are any better or not, but let's go ahead and turn you down again. So again, if I need to get in somewhere, whatever, this one, oh, my bit's a little short in there. This is what I don't like about this one, is sometimes once you get it started, it goes all right. I'm looking around my thing weird. Let me get on the other side. Like, you could set that one down all the way, but it's got, just being able to do all that, because that spins, it makes it nice that that spins, because you can kind of move that as you're going. But with the installation driver, so I can take my installation driver, take off that head, put on my right angle, and I don't have to hold this, like that's stationary. I can now put my bit in there. This one I can put in a 1-inch bit so I can get kind of tight. And I'll put it on speed 1 just to show you. And again, I can hold this screw. I don't have to worry about this turning, so I can start my screw a lot easier with this. That's speed 1, clutch setting 6. I'll go speed 2. And that had the clutch setting on. If I would have put that on drill setting, it would have went a whole lot faster. I'll put it on the drill setting. I mean, it would put that all the way through there. This will do it all day long. In the beginning, TPG, you weren't here. I've got this tool. Let me go ahead and grab a couple more screws. Oh, there's one right there. Oh. This is an actual right angle impact from Milwaukee, older tool. I like it because you can put a 1-inch bit in there, very compact. Really loud, just like any other older impact, but I could take and put that screw all the way through there, no problem. I need some more screws. And with the installation driver, in case you didn't know, you can also take this head with the collet and stick it on the right angle and put any other bit in there that you want to also. But Peter C9166 had asked, M12 Ratchet, this is the high speed 3/8, so it takes actual like sockets, 3/8 sockets, but I have an adapter here that goes from 3/8 to 1/4 inch. And if I put a 1-inch bit in there, it goes way too deep. So I had to use a bit holder just for the experiment side of it. You'd be better off if you could find like a 2-inch bit or something like that to make it more compact. But he was just curious if you could use this as a right angle instead of buying a whole nother tool if you wanted to, if you already own this. And I was surprised. feel like it's slower than everything else. But like I said, I think if you were somebody who you're a mechanic and you already own the 3/8 ratchets and you only have to put in a screw with a right angle drill 5 times a year, I wouldn't go buy a right angle drill. I think I'd just use my ratchet based upon that right there. But I still feel like good option. I mean, cheap. What is it, like 19 bucks, something like that, if that, I don't know. But it's just the manhandling it sometimes in certain situations. Like I said, 9 times, maybe 7 times out of 10, you're going to have plenty to be able to do this with it and hold it like this. Have plenty of space to get. Maybe you're going up and under something and you got all the room in the world for this part. But it's the time when you're going in somewhere and all you can fit is basically the tool in somewhere, and then you're lucky if you can even get your hand on this trigger, and you don't have room to stick a hand in here to hold this and hold a screw, and you want to just be able to stick that in there and hit this like this and get it in somewhere. That's when you need a tool, you know, like this, or the installation driver somewhat works that way just because I'm able to manipulate the head. So if I can't get in this way because I'm hitting, I can flip it, you know, the other way, or I can turn my tool completely sideways and lock that in and get in that way. Sometimes this is still too big, so that's why I still keep this one in my truck. There's times where I have to have this. Very rare, but I have to have it. Most of the time I prefer to use this, and then I've also, you know, used that. I keep that in my truck too. So, but the ratchet, surprisingly enough, I was pretty surprised at how that worked. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't think that would. Let's see. Vegans Cookie Good got to shotgun. Go to shotgun Mike for vids. I ordered the Rogue NTG to try out. Everybody likes the Rogue. I think mine is called the Holly something. I've got it on Amazon. It was kind of in the price range between a Rode and like just the cheap ones. I had one before that I got on Amazon that was super cheap. And then I also just bought a set here. I think this is called like Holly Lark or something like that. I don't know what the one I normally use is. These I bought because I got a set that has 2, and I just bought them for cheap for the times when my wife comes out here, so I can send 2 mics to one. Because the last time we were out here, all I had was this one mic, so you know the volume of one person was less than the other. So I got these to try out the next time that we do a video together, or the next time, you know, I'm interviewing Tom Silva or Mike Holmes when they want to be on my channel. Wacky Wayland said, yeah, that was his, that was the right angle adapter. Hey, Morgan, what's up? Plumbing with Quise. What's going on, buddy? TPG, slower, but it works. I might need to get another installation driver. I got one for my wife, and she loves it. Yeah, it's my go-to tool for right angle, just because of the having to hold the other thing. And again, not that if you don't do it very often and you can hold it 9 times out of 10, then it's not worth buying an installation driver just for that. But I run into it all the time, putting in cabinets and, you know, getting back inside of drawers and those kinds of things. But if you're like a electrician and, you know, those kinds of things, you're not going to run into it that often as far as for wood screws and stuff like that. What's the number of the high-speed ratchet? This one is 2567-20. I got this for free when I bought my rear handle saw, and I just kept it instead of hacking it. I can't tell you how many times I hacked the old 3/8 ratchet whenever they were giving that away for free back when I bought my installation driver. In fact, it was, you bought the installation driver kit, you got the 3/8 ratchet, but it wasn't this one. It was the old brush version, like the older version. You got it for free, and I think I returned it for $90. So I got my installation driver with 2 batteries, the charger, the case, and all that. I want to say I paid like $129 for it after I hacked it by returning that ratchet. I returned that other ratchet for two or three other tools I bought. I bet I returned it like 4 or 5 times. I even sold it to people a couple times that were wanting one. And then whenever I went to go get the rear handle, I decided I was just going to go ahead and keep this one. So I keep it in my truck. I don't really use it all that often. I've used it on my truck more than probably anything else. But I don't really use it in my work all that often. I have occasionally, but just typically not that much. I think that's what I just got, but I've already lost the receiver. I think I know where it might be. I think I'll keep my ratchet as my ratchet. One tool I got for free that I used and liked eventually. Thanks for checking my stuff out, Morgan. Made my day. Yeah, you got some good stuff. Everybody go check out Plumbing with Quiz's channel. He's got some. We don't have a lot of plumbers on our channel, really, as far as especially for like guess the trades and all that. It's a lot. I think a lot. I ought to do that poll again on a community post just to see where we're at now. Like at the very beginning, I was just curious what kind of people were watching my videos, and this is back when I only had like a few hundred subscribers and whatever it was. And the poll came out. It was mostly electricians, but I don't. I probably ought to do that again. Which now I know not everybody sees the post and stuff, so it's still not really a true answer, but be interesting to see. Mario Brothers. Oh, plumbers. Yeah, I'm trying to think what all I've used this for, like furniture and stuff, something like metal furniture where a ton of threads. It would probably be really good for uh, certain things that you're putting together sometimes, but I don't ever think to grab it. I keep it in my truck with my M12 stubby. I keep this, my 3/8 M12 stubby, and my 3/8 impact socket set in the very back of my deck drawers, because they're not stuff I use for work like very often, but I want them in my truck because that way if something happens on the road, like I need to change my tire or whatever, I've got the tools to do it. In fact, I've probably changed other people's tires with my stubby and stuff more than I've even used it for myself. But I've also had to demo some stuff before that was put together. I was doing a suite, and they had something, I don't remember what it was, some kind of big, it was a big motor, or it was mounted to something, had these big old bolts, and I couldn't get them to break free, but the thing was really heavy to do the whole unit and get it in the dumpster. So I got out my stubby and it took it right apart. I mean, we were trying everything we had to break it loose, and that little M12 stubby just did it. Wacky Waylon, everyone at work loves the Noster drill clips. I thought I'd let you know. Yeah, it's been hit or miss. Like some people hate them and some people love them. And I know that some people that had the old M12, like the surge and stuff like me, they had a lot of problems with them staying on there. They supposedly have a new something in it, and you might could tell me, Wacky, something that makes, and I don't know if you've got even an M12 surge or not, that makes, because the screw on the M12 surge is so small. I ended up using I found a different screw or something, but my boot is what mostly keeps those teeth hooked in. But most people that had the M12 surge, it was just spinning on them. It would loosen up all the time. So I did have some people complain about that. Mine doesn't do it because, again, I got the boot, but I don't know if they included anything different. They acted like they were going to, because I was talking back and forth with the guy. He was asking me if I had any problems with mine and wanted to know if there was anything different that they could do. A really cool guy that was the owner of Noster or whatever. But I didn't have any problems, so I couldn't help him out any. But he said that they were working on something. Could also use it for mixing cake batter. Probably could. Probably could. That could be a video for yourself there, vegan, making some cookies with your M12 ratchet. TPG, attach a brush and clean the toilet with it. Y'all are getting somewhere. Now everybody's going to keep their ratchet. No more hacks for the ratchet. Everybody's got all these ideas with it. I want to send in pics of our veto packs, but there wouldn't be much guessing considering our YouTube name. No, that's completely fine. That's just like the Steve's woodworking and tool reviews. I mean, it was pretty obvious what he does with his too. Mostly we like to look at loadout stuff, but what I typically do in that situation is I just tell people, guess what you think they do the most. It's obvious they do apartment maintenance, but what kind, like, what kind of stuff do you think that they typically do with those tools type thing. So by all means, send them in. I've used mine for new installation of racks, threaded rod, unistrut. Yeah, that's where I could see it coming in handy for that pretty good. And I think that little insider, I've not seen one of them in person, and I don't know how well they work. I think the reviews are kind of mixed on it based on what I've been reading. But that insider ratchet set, where it's basically a pass-through version, of this ratchet right there, I can imagine that if it works like it's supposed to, that would be pretty handy as well. Wacky's got the Gen 3 M12, but I've got the clips on my M18 Impact and hammer drill. Apartment couple, use your regular name. Let's see. Can you give a model number for the boot that fits the M12 Surge? I don't have it off the top of my head, but if you go into the M12, the video where I did the warranty for the M12 Surge, down in the comments, I think I had like 4 people ask me for it, and I replied back to them and found it. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. And the only place you're going to find that specific one is if you can find one on eBay, because they quit making them. Because once they changed over to like this model where it's got the lights on the front, the new boot, because it really is a boot that fits the regular impact like this one of that same generation, and I think it fits the 1/4 inch stubby, but it also fits the Surge. And now after a while, they started saying it fit the Surge, but back when I bought it, it didn't say that it did, but I just bought it to try it and see, and it fits on it like it's supposed to. But now that they've quit making, that style of impact, they don't make that boot anymore, so you can't buy it unless you can find old stock. Now, Amazon has a knockoff of it. Like if you search that same part number, you'll find one on Amazon that's not the Milwaukee, but it's still black. And then Jersey Discount Tool Company makes their own version for it. But you'll have to find the real one on eBay if you can find one. I think it's like 449 dash, I want to say, but I don't know it off the top of my head. But like I said, if you go to that video, I know I've responded back to there's been like 5 videos where I've put that part number, but I know that one's one for sure. Like if you go there, you're going to for sure find it. There's some other videos where people ask me that too. Appreciate that again, vegan. You bought the stick pump, Morgan. Oh, I need to get another one soon. Well, at the beginning of the video, I got that, but I bought it just for these 2 batteries for 99 bucks. I haven't decided if I'm keeping that because that's not something I use all the time. I don't see myself using it that often. So I've got it on Facebook for sale. I might end up keeping it. I don't know. I'm that kind of person to where one of these days I'll need it and I'll be glad I've got it type thing. I don't see myself getting out of the M12 line anytime soon, so I don't mind buying tools that I don't use that often. But I've got it on Facebook for sale, or I might hack it and take it back to Home Depot. But I ain't decided yet. Everybody says it's pretty good. Like I remember it, you were saying it's pretty good too. The insider only is passed through up to 15 millimeter. Not sure about the SAE sockets because you have to buy those separate. Vegan says you could drain the Great Lakes with that stick pump. Let's see. See, 15 millimeter in SAE. I'm not really good with that conversion either. Let's see. I think 19 is close to, is it close to 3/4 or is it 21's close to 3/4? I think it's, I think 21's close to 3/4. I've always got to just do the whole. Whenever I go to grab metric, I just got to look at it and see which one I think it is. I'm not good at off the cuff of metric to SAE conversion because I don't run into it that often. Still, I've run into it way more than I used to, but I don't run into it that often. It's mostly whenever you work on cars, you run into it all the time. That and television mounts. Almost all the hardware that comes with television mounts is metric, but it's always almost 10 millimeter. 9 times out of 10, it's 10 millimeter. Only thing I remember is because of the Knipex is 25 is 1 inch. Yeah, so I bet 21 is 3/4. Then I bet I know my transmission dipstick, which in my Ford truck is actually under the truck and on the transmission, like you can't check it by opening your hood. It is a I used my 3/4 because I didn't have whatever it was, but it's supposed to be. I think it was supposed to be a 21 millimeter is what it was, but I think I used my 3/4 to get that off. I think that I'm so used to fractional, and it's probably the case with all of us, but I can get why in carpentry especially, I don't think it would matter for me so much in the other stuff just to have a number, because the fraction and a number of a socket to me, if I memorize the other two by looking, those would be the same to me. But I can get on a tape measure, like if I'm cutting boards and cutting trim and all those things, if I just had a number like 250 instead of whatever that comes out to be. I'm just saying this number. I'm not saying it's close to it, but 12 inches and 15 sixteenths and stuff like that, and you're looking at those little lines. I mean, if you just had a hard number every time, I feel like there'd be less mistakes on that kind of stuff. Definitely the math and all that stuff would be for sure easier when you're trying to figure out things. So I get the I get the idea of some people saying it's kind of silly to do it the way that we do it, but I'm so used to doing it that way that I don't think anything about it. Let's see. Did Olight announce anything new worth checking out? I didn't watch their video, and they didn't. I don't remember if they. Let's see. They did contact me again. I hadn't heard from them for a long time, but they quit. They kept switching the rep. Project Pine Hills was in here at the beginning of it. He's really the only reason why they kind of got back in touch with me, because he was asking them because they never had contacted him again. And he messaged me and said, "Have you talked to Olight recently?" And I said, "No, they haven't really, because I don't ever go email people and say, hey, I want to try your thing and send it to me and all that kind of stuff. I don't. They can either email me and send me something or whatever. I don't go out asking people. But uh, he asked me if I'd heard from him for a while, and I said no. And I knew they had had a couple sales, because that's typically when they always would send something, is if they had some kind of sale going on, or a new thing coming out or whatever it was. And they had swapped reps, and I guess they lost contact with me in the shuffle or whatever. But then he got them back in touch with me. But then I haven't heard from him since the arc failed and the arc flip, the two or the three arc faileds they sent me. So they normally do contact me whenever they're having like those release things and ask if they can send something, but I never got anything. Typically, I'll notice, like, if Last Best Tool does a video of some Olight stuff, I'm like, oh, well, they must have forgot to email me, because he's got some stuff, and that's normally when they would have sent me some stuff too. So I haven't watched their video. I don't know if they had anything new come out or not. That's another. Woobin was supposed to be sending me a different flashlight of theirs I asked for, but I don't think it's a new one. I just saw it and thought it's kind of neat. I know there is a couple other reviews out there for it, but I haven't heard back from them. I don't know if they're going to send it to me or not. They asked me about it, so I don't know. As a plumber, I like my SAE, but I can see where it's useful sometimes. Yeah, like I said, for socket sizes and those things, to me, that's more of my brain has been taught to look at something and say that's the size that is. It's not like I can just visually see, oh, that's 3/4 or that's 1/2 inch. I don't think I'm actually doing that. I think I'm just so used to seeing that's probably about a 1/2 inch size based upon that's the matching socket. It's kind of like you get trained as a baby, even playing the match game, sticking stuff in the same. It's the same thing, and we've just trained our brains to know that that size is this socket. But I can see it on the tape measure. The tape measure of the metric does make sense to me. I think that's why you'll see a lot of woodworkers actually in the U.S. They even use the metric sometimes, like the ones who do really fine finish stuff, just because it's less likely to have a mistake. Flashlight or torch? Yeah, a lot of the Australian people and overseas call it a torch, or Minecrafters. Plumbing McQuai says he wants to build a garage space like mine. Yeah, mine. This isn't very big. I think it's like a 20 by 20, maybe 24 by 24. Not crazy big. It was already here, so, and it wasn't what it is. It was unfinished. It's basically like a metal pole building with metal wrapped around it. It didn't have any insulation. Didn't have the whole front wasn't on it. It's kind of like a carport. Whenever I moved here, and I filled in the front, matched the metal, put in a garage door, put in a man door. I went in and put some framing on those poles so that I mostly just so I could put. I think I got like 2.5 inch insulation board, and then I wrapped it in this white plastic. That's all I started out with was the white plastic, and I was only doing that because I had my tools in here, and whenever it was just metal, whenever it was getting really hot or and then really cold, like kind of like this kind of year especially, you get a lot of condensation building up on the inside of this metal, and then it would start dropping off the ceiling onto all my tools and all that stuff, and it's going to cause a big problem. So that's why I did that. And then I put up this. All this is picket fences, like the really tall boards. I went and bought those because at the time I did this, I did it while I can't remember when it was that OSB and all the plywood was like through the roof. Like you used to, like a sheet of OSB 7/16 used to cost you like, $5 for a sheet of it. There for a while it was 50, and then even more than that. And of course, if you went to go buy nice plywood, you were buying it for like $100 a sheet and stuff like that. Well, that's whenever I decided I wanted to put something up on my walls. That's how much plywood was. And I was wanting to do wood so I could just screw stuff anywhere I wanted to. I didn't want to do drywall and all that kind of stuff. So this stuff was still $1 a picket or $1 something a picket. And I just went and bought me a ton of these because that came out way cheaper than buying a 4x8 sheet of plywood. And I didn't really have any waste that way either. And that's why I've got these on my walls. It wasn't really a choice of mine. It was more of I'm not spending $100 a sheet on plywood. And I think it turned out all right. I like it because the thing that's nice about this is, like, if I ever want to do anything, run electric behind it or whatever, I can just take down 2 or 3 planks and fish stuff back in behind there and then do stuff. It actually worked out better, in my opinion. Let's see. I use my spare bedroom for recording and hoarding. Yeah, at some point in time, if I don't build a building that I can get rid of the problem of if it just starts raining all week long, like heavy rain. I think if it sprinkles, it's probably not that bad in here sound wise. But if I'm getting like I got something in my throat, a downpour, it's like being in a echo chamber in here as far as the loudness. And I don't think there's any way it'd be way worse than that fan that I turn on and off. The metal sweats and rust everything. But I was going to say, if I don't end up building a new building at some point in time and, doing it different than this to where I can do sound better and have more room to set up something to where I don't have to move stuff around all the time, I might end up taking a spare bedroom or something in my house and setting up like just to film tool reviews and maybe keep some of my tools that are, not the ones I take in and out of my garage all the time for my job. It would give me more room out here and I wouldn't have the whole problem with the weather and all that stuff for filming. Like I said, none of it bothers me in my normal workflow, in my normal life. It's just for filming videos and stuff like that, it becomes a problem. That's why here in NYC, I hate metal storage because it will sweat and rust everything inside. Yeah, if you don't have the humidity controlled in anything, and if you're especially in water, water is the enemy. I'll run dehumidifiers all year round in here, and then even with that, if I hadn't have done this, that water dripping and hitting, if you have water hit on your table saw and just sit there, it's just going to rust. That's what's going to do. Did you hear about the abusive flashlight? He was charged with battery, and then wacky way, and then goes do do do. Plumman said, looks great, dude. Appreciate that. I love your setup. I've learned much about organizing from your videos. How much does a flashlight weigh? Don't know, but it's probably light. Vegans on a roll. The old YouTube tools, the one people say don't get used to. Yeah, I get that. That'll be again, next Saturday, barring something happens, I'm going to try to schedule the live, and it'll be me and my wife going over some of the comments that's YouTube has held or that I just thought was funny when people made them. There's a couple of them that are really funny that YouTube actually wouldn't let post, but I took a screenshot of them before they deleted them. But I'm gonna try to do that next Saturday, hopefully, again in the morning Saturday until the middle of the afternoon, and I don't know how long it's gonna go. That's why I probably won't have a guest to trade next Saturday. I'm doing a charity event like grilling and cooking for them, so I knew I wouldn't be able to be part of the chat, but I'm also running low, so I may just skip 1 week and see if I can get some catch up on that. And then, but next Saturday, I'll try to plan to do a live that afternoon with my wife, and we'll talk about some of the comments, and I'll try to get them put up on this TV screen and, those kinds of things like that. I just heard the kitchen timer go off, so I suspect dinner will be soon, TPG said. I know plumbing's already asked, plumbing requires, but I know vegan cookies is wanting to know what you're having too. Evan said, thanks for all the videos. I just bought a torque wrench and torque screwdriver. I've learned more about electrical from yours and other channels on YouTube than the guys I've worked under. Yeah, people don't do as much. I mean, I don't know about today because I don't work on job sites and stuff like I used to, but I know whenever I do, I don't see a lot of teaching going on that much anymore, but I also don't see a lot of wanting to learn from a lot of people either. That was kind of the thing with me with working with people. I can generally, like, I'm more than willing to spend all the time in the world to explain to somebody why I'm doing something, how to do something, why you should do something some way, what will happen if you don't do it this way, just to share my experience with people. Because if we don't pass that on, then that's how things get better, is if we pass on our knowledge and things like that. But I can typically tell within the first hour of working with somebody if I'm wasting my time, even spending time talking to them and doing those things, because it's like I'm willing to spend the time, but I'm not going to waste time. If I can do it 10 times faster just to do it than to try to explain to you why I'm doing it and all that stuff. I've kind of got that way on job sites before, so maybe that's how some people are today. Maybe that's why not so much of it goes on, but you got to try to get yourself out of that mindset, because sometimes people might not seem all that interested in the beginning, but then they might come around to it, and you just got to invest the time in people to let them know. But yeah, I don't see as much of that going on. It doesn't seem like to me in the trades is what it used to be. But again, I've never worked for a company where they actually have apprentices and people above them and all that stuff where they're actually teaching people, and or is it just you just throw people to it and hope they figure it out? That's how it appears that it happens to me through most companies I've seen, is you just throw them into the mix and it's up to them to figure it out for themselves. Not a lot of teaching going on. I'm sure that's not the case everywhere. I'm just saying I think that's the bulk of things. Not sure, but if I had to guess, we'll split a Cornish hen, maybe with air fried potatoes. Man, the air fryer is a game changer, TPG. We bought one, and I think I cooked nearly everything in that thing. Even if you go to like a Kroger or Walmart or whatever the grocery stores are in your area, and you get those rotisserie chickens, which why people buy, sometimes you go over to the meat department to get a chicken like that's raw, uncooked, nothing done to it, and it'd be like $15, and then you can go over and get a rotisserie chicken that they've cooked for you for like $7. But even if you take one of them home from the store and then throw it in your air fryer, or even if it's already cooked and hot, and you just air fry it for like 5-6 minutes, it makes like 10 times better. But man, I cook hamburgers, steaks, bratwurst, all that kind of stuff in my air fryer. It's phenomenal. It's easier to clean. I love it. TPG says Curtis on HVAC guy explains a lot of what he's doing. Yeah, I watch his stuff. He's pretty good. I like to know why I'm doing something instead of someone just saying to do something. 100%. That's my mindset. Like that's how I've learned how to do everything. Again, it's not so much that sometimes people weren't even really willing to share their information with me, but I would like almost force it out of them, or I would sit there and watch them and not even say anything, but I'd watch them and just watch what they do. Like the times I ever hired people, like whenever I was first getting into this, like if I ever hired somebody because I didn't know how to do something, like you could be guaranteed I'm going to know how to do it by the time they left. And I wasn't a helicopter person as far as just sitting out there going, well, what are you doing this for? What are you doing that for? I knew enough about things. I could just sit there and watch them and see what it was they were doing. And I'd just be talking to them just like I'm talking to you right now. Just not even about whatever job they're doing, just talking about life in general, just to be there talking to them, because sometimes I'd have to be in an apartment with a contractor if we hired somebody, because just for whatever reason, it was kind of a rule. So, but while I'm there, I'm going to learn something. You're not going to have to come back out here probably and do whatever it is you're doing again, because I'm going to figure out what it is, why you're doing certain things. And like I sit there and just process it for a while and figure out what it is. But I'm always the person who is, I want to know why something's broke. I want to know why it happened. I want to know what could have been done to make it not happen. Those kinds of things, not just fix it and replace it. I want to know what caused the problem and fix it that way. That's just my mentality of things. But it's that mentality that has made me pretty versatile, because I've learned how to do so many things just based on wanting to have that knowledge, wanting to know what that information is. Plumbing McQuays, yes, Miss Morgan was a blast to watch. I missed the stream. I was telling my wife it was good to see we all have the same relationship with tools and our significant other. They are on to us. Plumbing McQuays says he needs an air fryer. Yeah, if you haven't tried one, man, it's game changing. It's a big deal. You can cook stuff even from frozen. It's a lot better. It's night and day, and it's so much faster than anything else too. And like I said, the biggest thing for me is it's cleaner, because like you don't have the splatters from your pans, or you don't have to go clean your grill off and all those kinds of things. All of it usually stays contained inside of it. I think mine's a Ninja or something like that's the one I've got. As a working foreman, you know a good mechanic by the walk and talk, not the work they're showing. TPG said the rotisserie chickens, he feels like there's something in it that bothers him. Yeah, sometimes I don't get them at certain stores. There's like a seasoning in some of them that is overly something that I don't like either. Certain, like, I don't prefer Kroger's, but I will get those, but I don't get like they've got two or three different flavors, spices that they put on them. There's certain ones of them that I don't get. I cooked a pizza flatbread in one. Yeah, I can see that. A lot of people cook like grilled cheeses and all that kind of stuff. Like there's pretty much nothing that I've ever thought, I wonder if the air fryer can do it, that I've not put it in there, and it's like, man, it's pretty good, because it does a really good job. It's basically a convection or a whatever it is type of oven. If you've got that kind of oven, it's the same thing. I don't know if it's convection or convention. I think conventional oven is the what we've had forever. I think convection is the one, that's the process that's the same thing the air fryer does, just in a bigger version of it. But mine's a Ninja that's got two things. Like I've got two different things, and I can set the timer for both of them, and I can cook two things at once. And I really like it. It's two smaller baskets, but I can fit decent thing. I can fit a whole rotisserie chicken in one of my baskets, so I could actually cook two of those at one time if I wanted to. So it's big enough to do most things. Doesn't sound like it will help with the grass munchies. My wife cooks a lot of like broccoli and stuff inside of it. Like whenever we fix stuff and she wants broccoli on the side and stuff, she'll put that in there. I don't eat a whole lot of grass munchies, so. Or you talk? Oh, never mind. I know what grass munchies you're talking about now. Never mind. Yeah. Let's see. Armpit warmth. Yeah, you could do that too. Is that how you warm up your cookies in a pinch, vegan? Armpit warmth. I was thinking grass munchies in the way of vegetables or something like that was what you was talking about. But man, it's humid out here today. Matt HMM that was in the guest the trade today. He's been in it a couple times. He's in the comments a lot. He's usually inside of these if he's able, but he works a lot. But these are 32 degrees. I think they might sell them at Costco. I don't even know if I've got a Costco in my area, but they're more expensive on Amazon. If you go on their website, these t-shirts, and they've got polo shirts and all kinds of stuff. They're like $3 or $4 a piece, and if you buy like $30 worth, you get free shipping. And man, they are crazy comfortable. Like they are really breathable. They dry crazy fast. I've been wearing these even over my Columbia shirts. Like I like these better for the hot weather. And I ended up getting, I got some larges and they fit okay, but they are like a slim fit. So like if you've got lovey handles and stuff like that, like what I do, uh, you get a little bit of showage on that. But I ended up, the next order I got extra large, and they fit. They're not really that much bigger, to be honest with you, but they still felt good. I like them, but crazy comfortable, like the most comfortable t-shirts I've ever worn, and they're only like $3 or $4 a piece. So I bought a ton of them, and they're way cheaper than buying Columbia shirts and stuff. So basically, I'm wearing these on like job sites and stuff, and then I wear my nicer shirts to service calls and those kinds of things like that. TPG says I prefer pocket tees. The buddy that I work with a lot, that's because I told him about these shirts too, but he has to have that pocket on his shirt. Like he won't wear one that doesn't have it. I don't think they've got any because I looked for him because I was telling him how nice these were. But he's the same way. He has to have that for his little pencils and all that stuff like that. But I always have my vest or my other vest, job site or service call, that I keep all that stuff in now. But I get that though, like especially if you're a person that carries pencils and stuff like that, flashlight, whatever it is. Matt HMM has been showing a lot of love to my channel lately. Much respect. Yeah, he gets around everywhere we go. That's where he's at. I've got the Carhartt 4 shirts. I wear every color. My favorite work shirt. I used to wear a ton of Carhartt stuff. I don't buy it as much anymore. I like their beanies, like their toboggans is what I call them. Some people call them beanies, I guess. I wear those during the winter time instead of hats. I really like wearing. I actually prefer wear. I love the feel of a toboggan on my head, like better than a hat even. So that's the one thing I look forward to during winter time is I get to wear my toboggans again. Like it's just I love wearing them. But yeah, I like the Carhartts of those. They fit my head nice. They're not so big that I got a bunch of extra, but they're not so small that it looks like I've got like a Speedo cap on my head. They just work out just right. But I used to wear Carhartt overalls all the time. Evan says pocket on the t-shirt's a must, so he's in that group as well. And TPG says he keeps a little flashlight in his and sometimes his clip-ons. Yeah, it's just like my buddy. He's the same exact way. Carhartt compelled their employees to take a jab or lose their jobs, earning them a spot on my do not buy list. Yeah, a lot of people started boycotting them at that time, and then also like TSC in the last little bit, and that's something where they started getting into political stuff too. It's like I just don't get companies that want to get into that mix. It's like why do you even want to? Y'all all need to take the Michael Jordan approach of everybody's going to buy shoes. I don't want to. Just don't get in the mix of it. All you care about is if somebody buys your shoes. Vegan says it's hard to support Carhartt anymore. Yeah, I haven't bought anything from them in forever. I've just got a lot of old stuff. I've got a whole entire uh, chest in there that sits at the end of my bed that has probably, I would guess, 30 pairs of overalls in it of all different sizes, depending upon my fatness at the time. Because again, I told you I'm one of those people that goes through weight swings, especially years ago. Every year I'd get up real fat, and then I'd lose weight, and then I'd get up. And I just do it all the time. As I've gotten older, I've tried to stay a little bit more slim and not try to get up in those bigger weights, but it happens every now and then still, but not near as bad. I mean, I've gotten up to, I weighed 300 pounds at one time almost. It was like 280 something. That was huge. But I've got overalls in there that ranges from probably like 30s to 45, 46s or something like that. Morgan, I'm gonna give you a secret for some crazy deals on Carhartt. Sierra Trading Post has some crazy deals on that stuff. I've never heard of Sierra Trading Post. I just now learned on Amazon, and I never really paid much attention to it. And Matt HMM has been saying this to me for he emails me a lot, and we talk back and forth. And he's always like, Yeah, I got those for like in like a third of the price of what it like. So let's say hypothetically he bought a tool vest and that's $100, whatever. And again, that's just hypothetical. He'll be like, "Oh yeah, I got that on Amazon for $30." It never clicked with me to even ask him how. I thought it was just some kind of special, like he knew somebody or whatever, some kind of deal he had going on. But every now and then there is a like if you go to buy something, sometimes there's a you can buy it used down below it, and like this pouch again, I'll probably put this video out tomorrow. But this pouch is normally $95, and there was a used one for $57 down below it, and I'd already ordered that one, so I ordered the $57 one and got it in the mail and sent my $95 one back. But it's exactly the same. Like it was in the package the same, had the tags on it the same. I mean, that's almost like half price, nearly almost. So it's. I started looking for that now. I've never really even paid attention to that, like the used thing down there before, and didn't even think about it. And then that's what he's been talking about this whole time. It never dawned on me. Hey, maybe I should ask him, how are you getting these things at $30 instead of 100 and those kinds of things. TPG exactly. I'm up to about 175 now, which I don't like. I'd rather be at 160 max. Yeah, I'm normally right around 200. I'm 6 foot tall. Uh, I'm probably like 190 something right now, but I'm typically in that 200 pound range. But I've gotten up to, like I said, I've gotten up to 285. And I mean, I was huge, like I mean, big. But I've always done that ever since I played sports and all that stuff all in school, and then like whenever you get out of school and you've been doing all that athletic stuff your whole entire life and been eating like a hog, and then you get out and you're like, I'm doing nothing now. If I didn't work the job that I worked, like if I didn't do what we do for a living, I probably would weigh who knows how much based on how much I normally would eat. But again, as I'm getting older, I don't do that as much anymore, so it's getting easier for me to not gain weight now than what it used to be. And I've kind of figured out more how my body works as I've gotten older, what I can afford to eat, and what I can't based on my body type and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's I've gotten pretty big. I even got into a I've always been able to lose weight so fast that I got into a local weight loss competition. Like they even put on the news. It was with a local gym, and they used to have almost like a what was the name of that show that was on all the time? The Biggest Loser or whatever. Basically, they had a local version of that, and I got into that. They took 10 people, and I was picked to be one of those, and that was the biggest I ever was. Whenever I got into that, and I ended up winning that contest by losing the most weight percentage and all that kind of stuff, and won like $3,000 and a gym membership and all that kind of stuff. But I've always been able to lose weight really fast because as soon as people heard, like the people that know me, that knew I was getting in that, they're like, there is no way somebody's going to beat you because like I've always been able to do it. But again, if you're doing it now and you're younger than me, just know it doesn't. You're not always going to be able to do it. You're going to have to eventually figure out something and just change your way of life if you want to keep it off. Anyways, it gets harder as you get older. Let's see. Hit the like button, Leonard said. Appreciate that, buddy. In college, I ate pints of ice cream for lunch to gain weight. I can't do that anymore. Yeah, that's the way my brother, like, I've always been a muscular, and then, again, I was pretty muscular up until I got out of school. And then, but my brother that's older than me was always like a bone rack, whenever he was younger, like couldn't gain weight for nothing. He even took weight gainer, all that stuff to try to gain weight. But, that eventually, that wears off too. Eventually you're going to get to the point as you get older that metabolism changes, all that stuff. Yeah, you gotta figure out, and it's a sad thing because they don't really teach people in school or anything like that, any of this kind of stuff. And even the stuff they teach, I'm gonna be honest with you, most of the stuff that our uh, people say about what you should eat, not eat, and all that stuff, most of that's all slanted in a way of, it's a political thing or whatever else. A lot of it's lies for the most part. But if you don't figure out while you're younger how you're, because everybody's a little bit different, based upon your body type and all that kind of stuff. You got to figure out where you are, what you're capable of eating, what you can eat, and those kinds of things like that. Or it's easy to pack it on, pretty easy, especially with the kind of food we have in our country. If you live in the United States, It may be a little bit harder in other places, but United States, I mean, you can become huge pretty quick. Speaking of weight, does anyone use one of those telescoping stools a lot? I have one and it broke while I was using it. I've got one. I keep it under my passenger seat, but I don't use it like on a consistent basis. But mine's not broke yet. And I actually use mine more so than for me sitting on it. I'll take it in places and put my laser level on it and my tool bags and stuff like that. I think I made a video for it even now that I say that. It's pretty crazy that it's getting to the point where I can't even remember some of the videos that I've made, like until I start saying something like that. Like I already forgot that I made a video for one of those. But in that video, I think I even show it that I put my laser level on it. I put my tool bag on it just to keep it up off the floor. And that's how I use mine most of the time. I'd have sit on it occasionally. I can't remember what the brand, there's a million versions of that, but I'm sure they're all made at the same place. I use the weight gain stuff too. I'd lost a lot of weight when I got when I got a load off my mind in 1980. I know who you're talking about just based on you saying that. Cool Hand Luke ate 50 eggs once. Vegan cookies good said. That's good knowledge to know. Well, who knew that this chat was going to go into weight loss and all that kind of stuff? Wyatt the Pilot, I'm so excited to finally get back into a live stream again. I don't know why it doesn't notify me on the lives. Yeah, I don't know. You got to go into and check certain boxes, I think, or all notifications. But even then, I don't know what you get sent and what you don't. I'm pretty bad about knowing how YouTube works, to be honest with you. As crazy as that seems, I'm I'm not notified of very many people. There's very few. Usually, I've only I just set up my notifications for Tools with Tactics just because he goes live sometime, and I just get on there just to see what he's doing. That's typically the only ones I've got a notification for are people that go lives, because other than that, I just scroll through and find their stuff, because during my work day, I don't want to be getting dung like crazy on my phone. So that's why I don't have mine set up that way. I'm subscribed to a lot of people, but I'm not set up to be notified by a lot of people. What has happened thus far, Wyatt the Pilot? Well, I gave away a Milwaukee track saw, and then I also gave away tickets to next year's Milwaukee Pipeline. You missed that too. Plumbing requires, I've always been big. Construction changed my body forever. Yeah, like I said, I don't even want to know how much I'd weigh if I didn't do the kind of work that we do. Based upon, like I said, in my younger days, I probably, again, I try my best to not get really, really overweight nowadays, but I didn't care much whenever I was younger, and I ate like a horse. But I also still at least was doing a job that was physical and moving around and, climbing ladders and carrying, sheets of stuff. And it's kind of like a workout. Working for us is almost like a workout in some ways. So if you didn't do that and burn those calories and you just ate like the way I normally ate, there's no telling what I would have ended up weighing. Weight loss and yoga pants review. I told you, Morgan. Nothing really new I saw with Olight's event today. Oh, so that event was today. I was going to say I saw a thumbnail, but maybe it was it probably said, I don't pay attention to the bottom sometimes. It probably said premieres and whatever day and all that kind of stuff. I missed another giveaway. Darn, but congrats to those winners and thanks for the giveaway. What formal schooling do I have? Google account ask. I've just got the School of Hard Knocks Google account. I'm self-taught as far as all the stuff that I've done. Now I did go to college some, but nothing. I don't have really necessarily a specific degree or anything in anything. And then I did go through electrical kind of schooling, but not in the sense of where it really means a whole awful lot in today's standards wise. I also just mostly work jobs, and like I was mentioning earlier, I'm the person who I'm going to learn everything I can possibly learn. It bugs me to not know why something some way and whatever it is. So as far as my job experience, which has pretty much been my schooling, and I always personally feel like, to me, that's the best schooling you can get. I've always said that. I don't even care if we're talking about our own like trades and stuff like that, even our business. Even if you're I don't care if you go to school to be a nurse. The schooling and all that stuff that you do, I'm not saying it's not important, but you're not really going to be a nurse until you've been a nurse, for X amount of years or whatever. You're not going to know everything. Just coming out of school, getting all that paperwork and getting all those things. I mean, is it good to have that knowledge? I'm sure that it probably is, but until you put it into practice, until you're physically doing any job for an extended period of time, I feel like work experience is the best thing. But I worked, so my whole entire life, I've been working since I was probably, I don't know, 13 or something like that. From starting out being a cart boy where I walked to a golf course and worked there, but I worked on stuff there, and then I also worked at a bait shop and made pizzas and all that kind of stuff. So I did a lot of that kind of stuff. It taught me work ethic, at least while I was younger. Then I went into working at factories, and I just worked on lines. I ran machines, like I ran welders, press machines, those kinds of things like that. I manufactured wheels for vehicles, like full face wheels where you had to weld the face onto the rims and all that kind of stuff. Worked on machines that pressed those out. And then I went from there, worked in tool and die stuff with the company for a little while, and then I also did management there. I ended up being over a whole entire department, so that's where I kind of started learning a different set of skills and with dealing with people, but then also just the management that helped you with time management, all those kinds of things. So like every job I've ever had, even though certain jobs, like you're going to say, well, what is working at a bait place, like counting bait and doing things like that? How has that translated into what you're doing now? But every little thing that you do and the experience that you get, it teaches yourself something about yourself and helps you learn something. Like I said, management, I work for myself. I don't manage anybody right now, but being in a management position helped me. I can deal with customers probably differently nowadays than what I would have had I not had that experience. I also have better time management, better, just thinking of things differently, of how to manage people is the same as everything else. So again, I've done tool and die work, maintenance work in factories. I also did commercial project management, commercial construction, and then I've also worked in facilities maintenance for the longest time. As far as my bulk of my career has been working in facilities maintenance and all that stuff. It's where I was able to do any of the work that I wanted to do because I wasn't my own contractor. I worked for that company, so if they asked me to do whatever it was, I could do it. So I didn't have to have any kind of specific licensing or anything like that. So no advanced, specialized, anything like that. It's all pretty much self-taught. I've learned everything on site by hand, plumbing requires, read plumbing books at home now though. Yeah, I do a lot of reading, whether it's on the internet or what. Like anytime I've got a problem, I'm gonna like I can figure it out, whatever it is. Like, and I can teach myself how to do just about anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Like I said, I think I mentioned it in one other video. I had a hot tub a long time ago, and it was broke. I know nothing about it was in the board and all kinds of stuff. But again, a lot of things are very much the same. You might think, well, I've got to call a hot tub place to come repair my hot tub, but it's basically a board, a heater, some plumbing parts. It's all the same stuff. If you familiarize yourself with how certain things work, everything is the same. It's just different materials. As long as you can say, this is how this thing works. This goes through here. This goes through here. This comes this way. This has to engage and disengage. This has to do that. By looking at something, you can figure out why something's not working and figure out what you got to do to fix it. Almost everything I learned is in the field. Extreme learning curve. LOL. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not down in going to school to do things and all those things, but I just feel like it doesn't matter if you go to school. I feel like people would be much better off, and I know that I'm like maybe the only person that thinks this way, but I think you just get thrown into the workforce and you learn whatever it is that you're doing, you get good at it. And that's because, like I said, you can go to school for 20 years to be something, whatever it is. And on the 20 years and one day later, when you start that job at whatever company you go to work for, that company may do something totally different in a different way than what you've been taught in school. And you've got to learn their way of doing it. So it doesn't do you any good to learn how your teacher told you to do it and how somebody else told you to do it. Again, it might teach you ways to think and stuff like that. But I guarantee you, whenever you go to work, just like if you go work for a company for 10 years and you're an electrician, and then you go work for another company, they're liable to do stuff in a total different way just because the way they approach things and how you've learned, and you're going to have to relearn how it is that they've done things. So it's no different. Everything in my opinion has to be learning in the field, in my opinion. No matter, again, not just our jobs, anybody's jobs. Leonard said, hands on. None of my family except my grandfather is super handy, so at my high school, I've been taking all the trade classes I can. I'm in advanced construction, welding, and autos, and you will be glad that you've done that, Wyatt. I guarantee you, I wish I would have done more of that in high school. I didn't do any of that stuff in high school, and they offered it actually at my school, and I didn't do any of that stuff, but you'll be glad that you did it. But I ended up learning it, on job training and all that kind of stuff like that, welding and all those kinds of things. But again, the more that you can go ahead and jump the gun and start learning that stuff now, you'll be glad that you did it. Because again, that's hands-on learning right there in a classroom. So that's different than going into a classroom where a teacher's just teaching you something out of a book and those kinds of things. Lockhammer, learned my trade from my dad. Nowadays, that's called child abuse. Yeah, probably is. Any tips to learn the trades as a high school student? I don't even really know anymore, White. I don't know what they do with high school. Back whenever I was in high school, they had like a trade thing where you could, and even whenever I was in the bigger city that I lived in before I moved, I finished school where I'm at now, but the bigger place where I lived before I moved here, they actually had a trade school, almost like a college trade school, where you got in a school bus and left your regular school and went there a couple days a week and did things like probably like the classes what you're taking now, but kind of more advanced. I would say if you and during the summertime and spring break and all those kinds of things like that, I'm sure there's some construction people out there that are willing to take on some people first. And I'm not going to tell you it's not going to be just grunt work and all that stuff, but even that is going to be useful for you. It's like I said, counting bait and making pizzas and working at a golf course, being a cart boy and all that has nothing to do with what I'm doing today. But those things taught me things about myself and about work ethic and about stuff like that. So even if during the summer, and plus you'll get a feel of how job sites work and stuff like that. Again, I'm not saying they're going to hire you for the summer and you're going to be the cut man or something like that. That's probably not going to happen that first summer, but they might on some job, if they're ahead of schedule and those kinds of things, allow you to spend some time to learn some stuff. Hopefully you'll find somebody that's willing to teach you some stuff. But like I said, if nothing else, learn how a job site works, learn the order of operations. You'll see what they're doing as they're building. Like first they did this, then they did this. Because that's a big thing that a lot of things I see with contractors where they get out of the order of how to build something and they make it a lot harder on themselves. Like, they'll go in and do certain steps where they should have did this first because now it's going to be a whole lot harder to do step C because you skip step B. And when you do B after D, that don't work out too great. And sometimes you're getting into, in my area anyways, there's a lot of real estate people that are getting into being general contractors and they don't really know the process of building things, and they get it all out of order. And then the subs that they hire, they always get the cheapest ones, and then they get mad at each other because this one got in their way and they don't work together. They start fighting each other. It just turns into a mess. So you can at least, if nothing else, learn the order of operations of how to go about building something. Let's see. Started in the trade right out of high school, Evan said. Wyatt the pilot used the internet. I took construction classes in high school, Evan said. Have a good day. I smell cookies. Vegan's got his cookies ready. Plumbing says it's all Legos, man. Just got to learn the books on your own. They are not supplied. Yeah, like I said, it's all really the same. It's just a different color Lego, like what you're saying, Plumbing. It's everything is very similar. It's just what materials am I using to put this Lego set together? Am I using PVC pipe? Am I using EMT? Am I using 2x4s? It's all the same stuff. Even schooling requires on the job training to pass. Once I applied for it, it was a monthly assignment to have your employee verify your hours. I think technical schooling should be the focus, not work practice, if that makes sense. It's helped me, but I've never worked in my degree field, BS industrial management. I've been a computer guy, mostly self taught. Yeah, like I said, you'll learn some principles in school. That's what I've always said about math, which I use math a ton. But of course, whenever you're in high school and you start taking algebra and pre-calculus and all that kind of stuff, you're just like, when am I ever going to use this? And sometimes I don't use those all those equations anymore. But what that teaches you is a way to think about things, like to figure out what this X is by doing these. Well, that's no different than on a service call whenever I'm digging through wires and I'm like, well, I've got to figure out what this wire is. So I need to, and again, it's not like I'm using an equation when I'm doing that, but my brain is thinking in that same way of, I want to know what X wire is doing. I've got these wires. I'm going to try this and this. I'm going to test this, test that, and see what comes out to what my answer is. It's a way of thinking, and I think school teaches you that. But I still, like you said, I think you have to get that on the job training too to actually know what you're doing. Sadly, in New York City at high school, I didn't get any of those options. TPG said he had shop classes in junior high and high school. He used to ride a Schwinn everywhere, and that was uphill both ways and in 2 foot of snow. So his metal shop, he designed and welded a stand to hold the bike upside down so he could work on it. Evan said graduated in 2019. The entire time I was in school, they pushed college on us. They wouldn't talk about trades at all. Yeah, that's how it was the whole time I was in school, and I graduated long before you, so I could imagine what it's been like for that. It was always almost, matter of fact, my kids, while they were in school, the teachers pretty much said, if you don't go to college, you'll end up digging a ditch, your whole life or something like that. That's how they feel about people who are in the trades or whatever else. And I'm like, that's what I tell my kids. I'm like, well, I hate to tell her. I guarantee you the person who's digging the ditch makes a whole lot more money than what she does. Now, you can say that's sad that teachers don't make that much money, but at the same time, I think a person digging the ditch should make pretty good money because digging a ditch ain't any fun unless you've got the equipment to do so. And if you got the equipment to do so, you got to make enough money to be able to buy that equipment and all those kinds of things. But she never meant it in that way. She just meant basically if you don't go to college, you're going to end up working in the field like what these people do, type thing. And that always burns me up, whenever I hear people make statements like that, because I'm just like, you have no idea what this world would be like without the ditch diggers, without those types of people. It makes me so, it infuriates me whenever I hear people talk that way. Wyatt, if you can have the ability to learn by looking at someone do something, you'll be really capable. Yeah, very good point on that. Like I said, I always, even if a person won't talk to you and tell you what they're doing, watch them. Like sit there and physically watch them, and you may not understand all of it, but then go back and whenever maybe you'll find a YouTube video or find some kind of a book or an internet, a thing that has pictures, and you'll at least remember what it was he was doing, and it's going to make more sense as you're reading it and figuring out what those things are. Don't say you'll take whatever. That's how I ended up being a plumber for years now. Evan Bunch, TPG. It is even when I told my advisors I wanted to do electrical, they were trying to get me to go to college to be an engineer. I almost certainly get into a trade now, probably HVAC if I didn't have the balance of a toddler. Wacky Wayland said, I just watched a video on bending 90s for pipe. together with that video and the teaching session this week, I have a better understanding. Yeah, you can, like I said, if you can watch somebody do something like what Plumbing said, and again, whether they want to talk to you, I mean, and you can try asking them. I mean, I think most people, I'm that way. Like Wyatt, if you were asking me questions and I can tell that you really want to learn, like if I can 100%, I can tell this guy's asking me because he wants to know how to do this. I love that. And I'm willing to spend my time if it costs me money and whatever else to show somebody something, to show somebody how something works and all those kinds of things, why I'm doing what I'm doing. And you'll probably find some people like that, but you're also going to find some people who are like, I've already tried showing this to 17 different kids and none of them want to really learn this. It's a total waste of my time. And they've already wrote it off. They just think everybody doesn't want to learn anything. And so you're going to run into some people who are going to be that way. They've already kind of been burned by too many people because I've gotten that way. And I've gotten that way to where I can almost tell, again, if someone comes up to me and asks me some question, then I'm explaining something to them, and then the whole time I'm talking to them, they're not looking at me, they're not looking at what I'm doing, they're getting their phone out and answering a text or doing whatever. I'm just like, I'm gonna get this job done and go home. I'm not gonna sit here and try to teach you something and waste my time, make it take me longer, make me make less money, all those things. So you got to make sure that they know that you're interested, and I think they'd be willing to teach you anything that they know. Because none of us, I don't think most people in the trades are the type of people who, and I'm not saying there aren't some out there, but I don't think we're the type of people who are like, I don't want to pass on my knowledge to somebody because that might end up, costing me money in the long run. Like they might take my job or, do whatever. I don't think most people aren't really worried about that because we're all so busy to begin with. Like most of it, I always think of it as, there's so many jobs I get asked to do right now that I don't have time to do. I would love it if I actually had some people's names that I could give these people and say, hey, I can't do it, but here's this guy's name. But I don't even really have that many people that aren't slam busy to even do that for people. The real guys know genuine questions. We also know what kids don't care. Yeah, I can tell. I 100% can. For me, if I can learn how to do it, I can help. Curtis is really good about answering my questions. Andrew Kletke just joined, but I picked up the M12 stick pump and the 2.5 batteries today also. Yeah, that's a really good deal, especially if you want that pump anyways. I mean, to get 2.5 amp hour batteries for $99, pretty good deal. Shibit, if someone is teaching me something, my phone is in its case. I've talked to a bunch of tradespeople at job fairs, on-sites, etc., and like you've been saying, they all say the same thing. They will teach anyone anything if they have the willingness to listen. Yeah, like I said, if you show them that, they'll teach you the world, man. They will. I guarantee you they will. I just know that from experience. Like there's people right now that I can call and ask questions to, like that are master plumbers and things like that. If I've just got some general question that's something I may have forgot, or I just want to double check before I do something, or whatever it might be, and like they 100% will give me all the time in the world if they want me to. How much was the stick pump deal? So it's $199 for, you get 2 5 amp hour batteries, but then you get the stick pump for free. So basically you're paying $199. You get the stick pump and 2 5 amp hour batteries and a charger. It's a starter kit basically. So you're getting them for $99.50 a piece, the batteries or the stick pump. And you can either keep them both or you can hack it and return it back. Like if you only want the stick pump, you can return the batteries and keep the stick pump for $99, or you can return the stick pump, keep the batteries for $99, or if you need them both, it's a pretty good deal too. Learn and say when they don't know something. Yeah, there's definitely guys around my age that do not want to learn or work hard. Yeah, that's in every age, I believe, Evan. It's getting more and more prevalent, I feel like, but it's still, I think actually my age group, I think I guess I'm Gen X or something like that. I don't know all the lingo of all that stuff. I was born in 1980, so whatever that makes me, I don't know. But my age group, I grew up in a total different time than like my kids grew up for sure. One is I played outside all the time, but I also had like the Nintendo first came, Atari Nintendo was real big whenever I was little. Like we were the first kids on our street to get the Nintendo and Mario Brothers and all that. So I played video games and stuff like that too. But I also played every sport imaginable outside. I built my own tree houses the whole time I was little, clubhouses. We built ramps to jump our bikes off into trees and creeks and everything else. Like we were always just doing weird stuff like that. And like I can't even imagine like my kids or any other kids these days even attempting to do any of that stuff. But I've also told people that I feel like my age group, like we are, and I'm not saying we're better than older people or better than younger people, but I'm saying I'm like still I'm one of those age groups that I know enough about technology to be able to use it at least fairly well. But I also grew up working like doing physical stuff with my hands and everything else and being outside, being in nasty stuff and doing all that kind of stuff to where I'm kind of like that middle ground of right in between people younger than me aren't all that technologically savvy, and then the people who are younger than me don't really want to work with their hands too awful much and those kinds of things. And again, it's not a fault of theirs. It's the way that they were raised and the way they've been taught in school and all those kinds of things. It's just a different way, just a different time of growing up. But it's from my age group moving forward, it's slowly gotten into more of the technology stuff and not being outside, not getting your hands dirty, not physically laboring, not doing stuff, those kinds of things. That I think that percentage, I think it's about half and half with people my age. And then as you're getting younger than me, it's being more and more. And again, there's exceptions in every case. So I'm not saying it's like it's across the board that people older than me don't know anything about computers and those kinds of things, and people younger than me don't want to work. But I'm saying if you put statistical averages to it, I think that that's probably the way that it goes. It's typically at my generation, it's probably the halfway point. The transitioning point is my age group, older, more physically, and didn't mind getting their hands dirty and all that. And younger, more technology, more not being outside, more not getting their hands dirty, those kinds of things. Also, do your own research. You can literally find on the internet. A few weeks ago, I was watching transformer calculations. Last night was how three-phase power works. Yeah, there's something out there. I've said before. It's like there's no reason why like you shouldn't be able to make it as a handyman today with YouTube and everything. Like that's just like me working on my cars. I'm not a big person that works on cars and stuff like that, especially new stuff because there's so much electronic stuff in it and all that kind of stuff like that that you can really get in a pickle if you start digging in too far. And plus, you got to take off like six things to get to the thing you want to work on. But older cars wasn't that way. But new cars, I don't like touching. But if I can find a video for it, I can do it. Whatever it is, I can do it. Oh, I would keep it all if it's available in a week. I'm gonna get another. I don't know how long that promotion's going on. It you can get it online right now and ship it to your Home Depot store. Like my Home Depot, every time they run these deals, they only have like very few of these. So it's very hard to get it in store at my store to be able to do the hike in the store if you want to hike it. But if you're keeping both of them, it doesn't matter. You can order it online, ship it to your store. But I'm not sure how long. I'm sure it's this whole quarter, however long the quarter goes. It's basically that promotion for the quarter. TPG says we build go-karts. I'm a grumpy old man, 64, but I've always worked with computers. I wrote some motherboard reviews for Tom's Hardware some 15 years ago. As you're talking about kids not playing outside anymore, all the neighbor kids are yelling and screaming outside playing tag. Ha ha ha. Well, that's good to know. I mean, I'm glad to hear that, honestly. That's which I'm assuming. I think you told me maybe you live in Texas, I think. So it's probably different per area. My AC condenser line in my car was clogged and dripping water on my passenger side carpet. YouTube had a video on how to fix it. Yeah, let me think of there's some stuff. What was it? Maybe the last thing I looked up on YouTube that was just weird and I was able to find a video. I don't know. But I'll even watch videos of stuff I know how to do sometimes just as a refresher if I've not done it in a long time before I jump into it. We used to have 6 kids in our Norway maple playing tag in the tree. Oh, we used to play tag, but we used to play of course hide and seeks similar. We used to do BB gun wars where we had like the pump rule. You could only pump it up so many times that nobody paid attention to. You'd sit there and crank. I mean, we had our whole neighborhood. We played BB gun wars where it was like war in our neighborhood, and everybody had their BB guns, and you had teams, and you shoot. So the same thing people do with paintball and whatever else they do, airsoft or whatever that stuff is. Now they play with. We were doing that with BB guns. And I can remember all kinds of crazy ramps and stuff we built to ride our bikes and jump and be crazy high in the air and fall into a creek or whatever it was. We used to take our bikes and ride, I mean, miles away from our houses, not even, but didn't even think anything about it. And I think about that now. I mean, I wouldn't let my kids do half the stuff that I did, but that might be the mindset of me, might be what's wrong in that we didn't let our kids do some things that we did, and it's caused them to kind of, not be that same way about physically working with their hands and stuff like that. Plumbing says he'll watch any trade video that isn't electrical. Yeah, the plumbers and electricians probably the biggest fight on the job sites, I think, isn't it, plumbing? That would be my guess. Because y'all are always fighting for the space, like I mean, the duct guys take up, probably HVAC guys with ducts probably take up the most room, but it's the electrical and plumbing. Y'all are always in that same vicinity in that wall cavity and always fighting with each other. But again, I mentioned in a video that sometimes comes down to the contractors really at fault, in my opinion, with that kind of stuff, because you all should have a clear understanding of this is where we're running all these things before you. But most jobs, and again, I don't work in residential that much, so that's probably why I think it's more of a free for all in residential, because commercial, a lot of times your drawings actually say this is where this is going, this because they want to know where it all is in the big scheme of things for the building and all that, especially if it's adjoining to other buildings. But as a contractor, I always hire the same exact subs every single job. So I would hire the same plumber, same electrician, same HVAC guy. I get the same bids from the same guys every single time. I've got the same plumber, same electrician working on every single one of my jobs if I hire somebody. And they know what I want, and then they also work together all the time. So they actually become friends and don't kind of do one over on the other guy. Like they'll actually go to each other and say, hey, where are you putting this at? Because I need to run something up through here, but I don't want to be in your way, those kinds of things. And those kind of relationships end up having you come out with a better product in the end for the customer. But like I said, most general contractors in my area have been real estate agents who are just hiring the cheapest subs possible, and then they're not even on the job site managing those subs. It's just a free for all of we're going to build this house. I'm going to call all these trades. I'm going to throw them in this arena right here, and I'm going to let them fight over whatever space they want, and they just go to town against each other. And ultimately, the house ends up being a piece of junk is what ends up happening because everybody's just stuck stuff in wherever they could and fought with each other the whole entire time. It just becomes a mess. But again, that's why I say I feel like it's the contractor's fault. The plumbing and electrical fights is the contractor's fault. It's not the plumber and the electrician. It shouldn't ever happen. Steve Lavamore is a good channel for plumbing. Do you have any automotive socket recommendations? All I've got right now are the Milwaukee ones, and I really like those. But I'm sure most people like that do auto. If you're going to get into heavy equipment, you probably want to buy the best that you can get that has some kind of crazy warranty or whatever else. Even of course, you probably won't want to do it right out the gate or right out the get go or gate or however I was going to say it. I think I mixed the two together. But you probably want to get something like and I don't know that Snap-on ones are any better than any other one, but if you can go get something that's got a lifetime warranty that's easy to replace them, because you're probably going to go through them more than anybody else is. Plumbing has the right of way. Wires can go anywhere, but plumbing has to follow specific rules on slope. I've run residential and commercial plumbing jobs. It's all the same most of the time. I always prefer for the plumbers to be done before we even start. Yeah, it's better that way typically, because then at least I'm working around this and I'm not putting something in their way that they're going to get mad about. They've already done whatever it is they want to do. I can figure out where to put my stuff. We just have a lot of the same landing spots, if you want to call them that. What plumbing said. Yeah, everything's typically in that same area, because everywhere you've got a sink, you're going to have receptacles or a garbage disposal or a dishwasher, or and all those kinds of things like that. Everywhere you got a bathroom, you're going to have GFCI receptacles. But like what TPG said, typically it's easier to move a wire around than it is a plumbing pipe. But you're never going to convince an electrician of that. They're like, oh, you need to drill a hole through this 2x4 to run a drain through. Well, that's why I put my wire right down the middle of it. Well, we're a couple hours in. I guess I'm going to go ahead and go in and maybe find myself something to eat as well. Like I said, I'll probably put out a video tomorrow on that vest. I've got some other tools coming in from Klein and from Vera that I'm trying to make videos for next week if I get them. I don't know when I'm getting them for sure, because they're not coming from Amazon. I couldn't find them on Amazon. Probably not a guess the trade next Saturday. Might be, but I doubt it. And then I will probably schedule a live for next Saturday afternoon. I don't know what time. It might be a little earlier than this one, but it could be a little bit later. It just depends on what time I get home. I'll probably schedule it on my way home, so that way it's a couple hours ahead of time to give y'all an idea of when it's going to be. And we'll probably do those comments and stuff like that, and my wife will be out here with me for that as well. But Lock Camera said, good one, Morgan. See you later. Let's see. Make sure I'm not missing anything before I leave. Plumbing's got some burgers and fries waiting on him. Wyatt the pilot, he's saving money on the high torque, mid torque, or the stubby. I've got the highest one and I've got the stubby, and I can do anything. I don't think you probably need the mid torque, especially that new stubby that's out there. I haven't used it, but it's supposed to be even more powerful than mine, and mine is amazing. So I can't imagine that it's not crazy good as well. I would probably get a small stubby and then maybe the biggest one. That way you've got kind of in between there on those. See, Wyatt said, see you later. Leonard said, thank you and see you next week. But you guys have a good rest of your weekend. You guys stay safe. Have a blessed weekend. See you on the next one.